Now, this is just a thought, right? Imagine lamenting to somebody about hitting rock bottom, maybe rock bottom in life, in business, or in finances, and then they turn around and say to you, congratulations. You would really think that person was a weapon fashioned against you, right? Maybe not. One of the most fascinating stories in the Bible, usually overlooked but nonetheless fascinating, is the story of Hagar and Ishmael. Hagar was a slave to the main character, Sarah, and when Sarah could not conceive, she gave Hagar to her husband to bear a child by him. Now, Hagar bore a son called Ishmael. Fast forward to about 16 to 17 years later, himself and his mother were sent away with just bread and a bottle of water. And whilst wandering in the desert of Beersheba, the water finished. It was recorded that Ishmael eventually started to suffer from dehydration, and then it got so bad that even his mother lost hope. She thought he was going to die. He had literally hit rock bottom at that point. So she placed him under the bushes somewhere and sat a bow shot away from him. She did not want to witness the passing of her own child. But the part I find really interesting is this. As she sat away from him, she cried. And the boy must have cried too. But it was the voice of Ishmael that God heard. However, God spoke to the mother instead. Why is that? Probably the boy had become too weak to respond. Maybe he had even passed out. And I tried to imagine in my head what the conversation must have been like in heaven. Humor me. God may have called angel A, B, and C and said to them, come, take a look at Ishmael. We have to do something. And then angel A would have responded and said, yeah, we could do something, but he's just a substitute. He's not the chosen child, Isaac. Then the second angel will say, well, he's been disowned. He's the firstborn, yeah, but he's not the heir. Then the third will say, well, what should we do? If you really think about it, he represents a negative omen to Sarah. He's a reminder of her barrenness, her shame, her doubt, and her desperation. In other words, what would be the point? And then God will counter it. I don't care about whom and what he was. His past is insignificant. What I care about is now. And right now, he's righteous and he's calling. And if you leave him in that state, his future will be the grave. So go to him and give him a new future. The angel opened the eyes of Hagar to see the well, and the boy was restored. Then he grew up in the desert of Paran. Paran represents beauty, glory, a place of divine encounter. What I'm saying is, the worst thing in the world is not to hit rock bottom. It's what you do when you're there. Do you call on God or do you call on people? Because people, in their limited understanding, remind you of your past, of how they think you got there. That one. He's broke because he gives all his money to women. That lady. She's divorced because she's always forming busy instead of taking care of her home. Oh, them. They're depressed because their parents don't love them. When you call on people, they see a problem. But when you call on God, he sees an opportunity. See, when something collapses halfway, you patch it back up, but with the same faulty foundation. But at rock bottom, it's an opportunity to build a foundation for a whole new future, exactly the way you want it to be. Namaste.